With it being a wet Sunday in the UK and no real flying to be had, I thought, well, I'll get my flying fix and I'll download Xplane 12 and see if the Xplane Scenery and the Hawk works on it. Turns out it did. I'll go into that at the end of the video, but for now, sit back, enjoy a flight through the lakes and see the results. The lighting is definitely as good as Microsoft Flight Sim, and this makes the OrbX True Earth scenery look that little bit sharper than it did in Xplane 11, and this is where I've pulled that from, just directly copied that across into the Xplane 12 folder structure. Right, I promise, no more Flight Sim geek stuff until the very end, just enjoy the flight through the Lake District. Just ignore this and continue to fly. This is set up at Barrow-in-Furness, Walney Island, which is close to LFA17 where the flight's going to be. This is the Just Flight Hawk. A few little small glitches which we'll go through in a minute, and I'm just going to fix the lighting here because it's set to January and it's a little bit dark. That's better. Set to midday, mid-July, VFR, scattered clouds. The first thing you're going to notice is the wheels haven't gone up, so that is just a visual indication that affects you only if you like flying from the outside view, which doesn't bother me because I do most of my flying VR from the inside, so that's all good. Everything else seems to work though. We're routing around the town of Barrow-in-Furness now. A small town to the right there, Dalton-in-Furness, and to the left of us a small village called Askham-in-Furness. We're heading south towards Ulverston, which is the start of the low-level training area, LFA17, through the Lake District. So we're just coming up to the bridge in front of us there, Levens Bridge, with a caravan site on the right, the south side of the River Leven, and routing up the River Leven Valley to the longest lake in the Lake District, Windermere. We're settling down to a target height of 300 feet above ground level and a target speed of 450 knots, 90% RPM. Looking for a yellow pylon here, but doesn't appear to be there. Right bank turn, about 4G over Haverthwaite Railway Museum, and then a hard left 4G turn over the Motor Museum and switch straight into a hard right. And Newby Bridge coming up now just below us, and fairly hard left over Lakeside, which is the start of Windermere. So 450 knots, it's about 8.5 miles a minute, so it's not going to take us that long to get up Windermere at 10.5 miles long, but it's going to give us a little bit of time to admire the new water textures. I think it looks a lot better. The light in the water looks a lot better than Xplane 11 did. A little flick of colour change there. I think that must have been a popping out from the cloud or something, but I can live with that. A little bit of a glitch I've noticed there on the compass. Here we are coming up to Bowness on Windermere, just on our right there. And I'm banking it a little bit left here just so you can admire the castle at Ray Castle. Just on the nose now. Oh yeah, and the gear is still down, but not really down because we're doing 450 knots. And we're coming up now to the town of Ambleside. I'm making a left 4G turn round the corner to Rydal Water and switching that into a right hand 4G turn over the bank to Grasmere, looking down now at the Grasmere Sports Ground there with a circle around it, and pointing straight up the road now, the A591 up Dunmail Raise. Having to add a little bit of power here, got a little bit slow in those tight turns, and we'll roll it left and we'll have a little wave at the photographers on the hill and dive down into Thelmere. Plenty of water in this reservoir today. This is the reservoir that supplies Manchester. We're not going to take a right at the ice cream van today to down St John's in the Vale, which is a route that some of the smaller lighter jets and low-level training propeller aircraft like the Texan would go down. We're going to go the less fun route along what's called Naddle Valley, following the A591 and taking a left at what's locally called the Nest over Castle Rig campsite. This takes us out over Derwent Water, away from the town of Keswick to our right, and looking down at the shadow there, you can see the wheels are still down, over the village of Portinscale, and over Jockey Sanderson's paragliding school at Braithwaite, and heading west out over Bassenthwaite Lake, the only lake in the Lake District. We're well below the mountain of Skiddaw on our right, which is about 3,000 feet, but we're about to climb back out of the low-level system now. At this point coming up just in front of us, Bassenthwaite Sailing Club in front of us, and Armathwaite Hall just in front of us as well. And we're going to climb now up to just below 12,000 feet, and believe it or not, the airspace in this part of Cumbria is flight level 125, which is around about 12,500 feet at this time of day. We're over the A66 main road at the moment, and Cockermouth is just coming up on the nose now. That's about 2 miles away in front of us, and I do have to apologise for that arrow that keeps popping up every now and then. That isn't a glitch, that is just me forgetting to assign a key to the VR mouse pointer that you can switch on and off. Crummock Water and Buttermere well below us on our left. Wastwater and the Screes just to the left of the nose. Sellafield on our right. And Scawfell just on our left there, Scawfell Pike. Ravenglass Estuary just to the right, with Eskmail's gun range to the south of it, and this is Haverig and Milham. Haverig Prison just on the wingtip there. Another good feature about Xplane 12 is that there is a proper carrier landing system, and we've just been contacted by the carrier there on the radio. So we're just going to do a flyby here. I'm not actually going to try and land a Hawk on it. I've tried to land the electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, the Lear that ships with Xplane 12 on this carrier, and it's pretty good. It seems to steam along at about 30 knots, which makes things interesting. So we're just coming back in now to Walney on runway 05 for a overhead break to join. My overall impression so far is it's been worth the 50 quid that I paid through Steam just for the lighting improvements that Xplane 12 has brought over Xplane 11. I think Xplane have much more realistic representation of the UK now in comparison to Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. 3 years in, and neither Microsoft nor any of the third-party scenery developers have sorted the ridiculous amounts of trees obscuring the UK in areas where there was none in real life. If Xplane can make the multiplayer as good as Microsoft did, then I'll be uninstalling Microsoft Flight Sim to make space, because let's be honest, Flight Sim 2020 keeps getting bigger, but not necessarily better. I'm so glad I stumbled across this little cheat to pull the scenery across and the Just Flight Hawk across. I'm just hoping that it continues to work as it does and maybe even get improved, and I hope that both companies honour the purchases from Xplane 11 and port it over to Xplane 12. I'll certainly be installing it in my home cockpit, my Hawk T1 replica, the Red Mara. So for those who have hung on, as promised, here is how to get scenery and the Just Flight Hawk from Xplane 11 into Xplane 12. Find the driver you installed Xplane 11 and Xplane 12. Navigate to Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, Xplane 11, Aircraft, copy the JF Hawk T1, and then paste that into your Xplane 12 folder by going back out to Xplane 12 and into Aircraft, allowing a research, and paste into there, and it should show as JF Hawk T1. Now the same applies if you want to install the OrbX Scenery or any scenery from your custom scenery folder. Just come back out, back to Xplane 11, into your custom scenery folder, and scroll down and locate the OrbX Scenery. Select the ones you want. I didn't have enough space to put them all on from Xplane 11, so I just did the central stuff, and it's important to do that one as well. OrbX libs XP, make sure you copy that one as well, and just copy and paste that into Xplane 12 folder under custom scenery, and it should look like that for the GB Central one, for the area that we're flying today.